What's up, everybody? Welcome on into a special Shooting the Breeze edition of the PWTorch Fireside Chat. How's it going? I'm PWTorch Assistant Editor Zack Heydorn. Hopefully, everybody here has had a wonderful, wonderful weekend. It's certainly been a busy weekend for professional wrestling. That's for sure. We had SmackDown Friday night. We had Elimination Chamber last night. We also had Battle in the Valley last night. I just finished watching Mercedes Money against Kyrie, and I thought that was a heck of a match. And one I think that sets the tone well for Mercedes in New Japan Pro Wrestling. So that was fun. But I'll be talking more about that on the channel and on PWTorch.com in the days to come. But here, wanted to take the time to shoot the breeze on Elimination Chamber last night. I think there's a lot of polarized opinions out there as far as how the main event finished without question, but also just throughout the rest of the show as well. And I think there was some high highs. I also think there was some really bizarre finishes and therefore some low lows. So we'll just chat it through, and I think it's fun to do this. Greg Parks does the pay-per-view post shows on Wrestling Night in America, and Greg is amazing at I don't know, I want to say just being therapist for folks that are reacting to the pay-per-view instantaneously right away. And here on this show with Shooting the Breeze, we have time on our side to take a step back, take a few breaths, breathe a little, and actually digest what happened on pay-per-view. So hopefully we can have a little bit of fun here. I don't know who knows how long we're going to go. If you're in the comments, go ahead and drop some comments in as far as what you thought of Elimination Chamber, good or bad. We've got our live audience already chiming in. Is on. Hello, Steve. Hello. We'll get to your comments here really, really, really soon. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search PWTorch on YouTube. Or if you're watching this video, of course, just click the subscribe button, click the notification button. I think you'll be glad that you did. We're live usually every single day of the week, Monday through Friday, with brand new exclusive content. We also have a brand new contributor that started last week for the PWTorch YouTube channel, Stephanie Chase, bringing us heavy news, detail, and analysis on AEW. So you can check that out on the YouTube channel now as well. But let's get to it. I liked the show last night a lot from like a bird's eye view. I thought, just like everybody mostly, that the atmosphere was just tremendous. Like it's almost impossible to have a bad show with a crowd like that, with a crowd that's reacting that way to everything. And regardless of how you thought about the main event, like it was a fun night. And we'll start our conversation with Steve's comment here, because I think it leads right into what I'm kind of talking about. Steve says, I did not like the way the main event finished, but looking at Friday, Saturday together, it was a great Sami Zayn event. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think I'm a little bit higher on the finish than you are, Steve, but overall, your point, I totally agree with. Like, look, Sami Zayn made this weekend an Elimination Chamber and this event what it is. What's normally a throwaway pay-per-view, right, before WrestleMania, turned into something that very much mattered a lot. And he gets major points for that. I mean, Sami Zayn, what he's done for the company and for SmackDown and for Roman Reigns, even, the last 5-6 months, I don't know. I can't praise it. I can't praise it enough. I mean, he really turned himself into a top star in the company, but just not a star that WWE was going to go with all the way. But that doesn't, just because they're not going all the way with him. Think about all the wrestlers who don't win the world title. there's great ones that did not win a world championship. And I don't think that you can I don't think you can judge the success of what they did last night strictly based on the fact that Sami Zayn didn't win the world title, because it meant so much more than that. I mean, he had a whole weekend out there. He's selling tickets in his hometown, Montreal, main event segment on SmackDown, main event match on the pay-per-view. Hopefully paychecks that go along with those two slots, right? Like, that matters. And he's a focal point of the show, on a content based show, which is what WWE is, like episodic content based product. Sami Zayn has been at the center of it for a very, very long time. He didn't win yesterday. He's not going to WrestleMania to face Roman Reigns, but the door is wide open for him to do something significant at WrestleMania, even if it's outside the world title picture. And that's okay. It doesn't make the weekend any less important in my eyes. It just doesn't. It is what it is, but it doesn't take away from anything that happened over the weekend. The match itself, with some time to digest, I've come around on that it was maybe a little bit too overbooked. I think you had the ref bumps, and the ref bumps were fine. I didn't, looking back and watching the match again, I didn't have a problem with the ref bumps themselves. What I had a problem with was kind of the referee's reaction to them. Like, clearly Roman Reigns should have been disqualified at times, and you had the referee just running in at the end to count the pinfall, which I thought was a little bizarre. I think you probably wanted to smooth that out a little bit more. I also, looking back, I'm in this position of, I think that, what they did was they left the door open for more storytelling. Like, they've got 6 weeks left until WrestleMania. Doors open for the story to continue to evolve and be told between Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, right? To me, I kind of, looking back, they should have wanted to pay something off here with this match. Something. I think you wanted to get a firm direction for Sami Zayn coming out of this match and not hedge. Like, nope, yep, he's not going to be in the main event. That's not happening. But this is what he is going to do. And I think that to do that the right way, you really needed to establish a firm foundation for where Jey stands. Like, I think the match would have played out better collectively, and I think the future for Sami Zayn would have been clearer if you just had Jey Uso interfere to cost Sami Zayn the match. Just get there with that angle. Who knows? Maybe they've got something really great that they're gonna play down the road. Could easily be. And obviously we're gonna wait for that. And this storyline has earned us waiting for that. But I think it would have just kind of come across smoother and less bumpy if you have Jey Uso get involved, you have him cost the match, you have him cost Sami Zayn the match, Bloodline beats down Sami Zayn, out comes Roman Reigns, out comes Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn beat up the Bloodline, toss him out of the ring, stand tall, hug it out as the roaring Canadian audience goes. Like, to me, that would have been a smoother way to go about it. So, but they got to where they needed to. It just was a little bumpier than I think it needed to be. So what's next? Well, they're going to pivot. They're pivoting on. They're pivoting on to Roman Reigns versus Cody. Steve jumps in again. Tomorrow will be interesting in how they pivot to full-on Cody versus Roman, yet not lose the fire for Sami, being that Raw is still in Canada. Yeah, that'll be super interesting. They're doing Edge versus Austin Theory, so I think that will help in terms of, like, just kind of appeasing the Canadian audience. You're getting a huge singles match from Edge. That doesn't happen very often. But I like Azan's idea. I think we need Cody and Sami tagging tomorrow. Interesting. Very interesting. So I don't know. It's interesting because I think it can work for WWE, but I also think it can work against them. At this point, you don't want, like, I don't know that you want to remind fans that Sami got screwed over at Elimination Chamber, because you're not going to that rematch, right? You're going to Roman versus Cody. And if you keep putting Cody together with Sami, it shows to me a lack of confidence in your story for Roman and Cody, because you need to, like, put it on the back of Sami Zayn and Roman as well. B, maybe it shows a lack of confidence in Cody too, to stay over as a babyface. Maybe not to the same level as Sami Zayn, but Cody, look, Sami Zayn and Cody are 1A and 1B in terms of babyface acts in the company, and the reactions to each of them are not that far off. Like, they're just not that far off. I mean, last night is an aberration because it's in Montreal. It's in Sami Zayn's hometown. But in regular places, not regular places, on the rest of their tour in other cities, like, Sami Zayn, I think, is a little bit hotter. His pops are a little bit bigger, but they don't completely overshadow Cody. So you're not dealing with a situation like that. So I don't know that I'd be calling attention to it. If you do something like this, Steve, where Sami's passing the torch to Cody, it's like, how many times do you want to bonk the fans over their heads with, hey, Cody's still he's a good guy. Cheer for him, cheer for him, cheer for him. I think you do want to just establish, like, that, hey, yeah, we're confident in the decision we made. We're confident in Cody as babyface. Tell the Roman Reigns and Cody story. Like, that is important at some point to get that done. A Cody and Sami match would be really fun, though. So it's hard to completely argue against that point, because it would just be, it would be really fun. There's no other way to put it. It would just be a really fun match, a really hot match, especially if you do it with Roman involved. I'm call me old school, guys, but I'm always a fan of, like, the WrestleMania main event in particular, like, not touching until you have the match inside the ring. So, like, Roman Reigns, you maybe don't want to include him in that tomorrow night, but, like, I could see them doing, like, Sami and Cody against Solo, Sikoa, and Jimmy. That you could do that, and Jay is hovering about, and you still continue down that road. So yeah, I think that'd be really cool. I just think you also want to be careful. You don't want to make it look like you need to protect Cody as much as that would look like. So keep your comments coming, keep your questions coming in the chat, and we'll make sure to get to those concerning the main event. But with the time we have left here, I want to talk some other matches on the show. Namely, first and foremost, Brock Lesnar against Bobby Lashley. Does anybody have something that they can smash over my head right now? What was that? Like, what was that? That was so disappointing. I think, they had a decent match going. I'm getting to the point where I'm over the Brock Lesnar matches, trade kickouts of finishers multiple times. Like the F5, it's like, okay, great. But, Bobby Lashley kicked out of what, 2 of them yesterday in 4 minutes? Tracy needed a tractor. Yes, that would have been at least entertaining. I love it. Great. Great stuff, Tracy. Thanks for tuning in, by the way, also. I'm looking at that match and I'm just like, don't book it. Don't book that match. Like, if there was ever a Vince McMahon finish, that was a Vince McMahon finish more so than the main event, I think. It made no sense. Like, first of all, first of all, it's just not a good finish. Like, come up with something better than that if you need to do a shenanigan type finish for whatever reason. And I think that the fact if you needed to, you didn't pick a winner and go with it. Like, own the match that you book, or don't book it. But even if you, okay, we have to get to this place. Like, the world depends on it, right? Why are you booking a finish where the guy that you set up as a babyface Monday night, Brock Lesnar, is doing a low blow and getting disqualified? Like, who does that help? Like, Brock's getting disqualified now. He's getting out of finishes because he's afraid he's going to tap out. Like, that was not a good finish. And it wasn't good for Bobby Lashley either. Like, it just was a really flat way to end what was a good match on paper. And I wonder if the match went the way that it did because they didn't want to do a finish, and so they kind of just threw a match out there, and it was what it was. But that was very disappointing. Bray Wyatt on Friday on SmackDown called out the winner of this match, and I guess technically the winner is Bobby Lashley. Technically, Bray Wyatt versus Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania seems a bit out of the blue. Don't you think? Like, I'm watching this and I'm going, all right, like, talk about limping into the match with Bray Wyatt. Like, Bobby Lashley won, but not really. Brock Lesnar lost, so he's not going to be in it. And that's out of the two options, Bobby Lashley versus Brock and Bobby Lashley versus Bray Wyatt and Brock Lesnar versus Bray Wyatt. To me, like, it's neither option is good, but Brock versus Bray is better. It's more marquee. So I'm just not sure where the thought process was here, and including Bray Wyatt into this, like, madness is counterproductive at this point already. Maybe they've got a good story to tell. We'll see. But I'm like, the Bray factor here is just, it's really just out of left field. So this was not good. This was a low point of the show. And just disappointing. Like, it's like, come on, WWE. You need to own the matches you book. And at least if you're gonna do a weird finish, come up with one that makes more sense and is more effective for the people in the match than what you did. That was pretty not good. Not good. We haven't, Milano, thanks so much for joining. We haven't covered the men's chamber, but let's do it now. Why the heck not? I thought it was a great match too. I'm with you. It's one of my favorite Elimination Chamber matches. To be honest, there's not a lot of them that stand out, so it's a little bit hard to remember all of them and recall, like, oh yeah, it was Elimination Chamber 2010 that I love. I just don't think any of them have been that memorable, but this one probably falls in the same boat, if I'm being honest, that something in like 10 years from now that I'm not going to remember. However, here we are less than 24 hours out from it, and it was a really good match. I liked that they got everybody into the match or out of the chambers before they started doing finishes and eliminations. I thought that was a really nice touch that helped establish everybody in the match as true competitors. Like, there was nobody that came in and got eliminated right away. Like, everybody had staying power. Everybody had a presence in the match for quite some time and at a good level. They also all had their moments, in the match to do something cool, whether it's Montez Ford just jumping off of high stuff and doing like the spider hang and falling on the rest of the combatants, whether it's Seth Rollins and Johnny Gargano with the Hurricane Rana spot off the top rope. Like, it was a really cool match. I thought it was fast paced. I thought Logan Paul getting involved, just it's one of those things that like makes sense. You know, I mean, you're building towards Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul at WrestleMania. You had Seth Rollins spend the last 10 days before the event talking trash about Logan Paul, period. And so I think from a storyline perspective, it made perfect sense for Paul to get involved right now and helped cost him the match. And so that made a lot of sense. And then Austin Theory pulls out, he gets the W, and that made sense. Like Theory, that this is how Theory wins matches. That's the heat they're going for, is that kind of heat with Theory. So good or bad, go away heat or not, that's the kind of heat they're going for with him. So to that end, it worked very, very well, I think, to establish and to continue to establish him as that kind of heel. Let's talk about Montez Ford, because everybody's saying it, and I want to say it too. Steve Tez is the MVP, Azan MVP. Milano is going to anger some people, I think, with this comment. Logan Paul has a better buckshot lariat than Hangman. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I don't know that if I can second it completely, because it's Logan Paul, and I don't want to be the guy that does that. I'm kidding. It's a beautiful looking buckshot lariat. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it at all. But Montez Ford, I think, has just had a tremendous night inside the Elimination Chamber. And I mean, man, he looked the part. He was crisp. He, like, all his big moments, he knocked out of the park. I thought he sold really well too. It wasn't just all about hitting offense and hitting high spots. Like he sold the impact of the match. He sold the significance of his opponents. And so you really, like, if there's any doubt, and I don't think there should have been doubt. I said this while covering the show last night on PWTorch.com and on the PWTorch Twitter. If you had questions about whether or not Montez Ford can and will succeed as a singles act in WWE, which, again, I don't think you should have, because I think he showed a lot to this point. But if you did, last night in the Elimination Chamber should have cleared up anything that would tell you, nah, I don't think it's for him. Like, I think it absolutely is for him. I get he's got the whole package, the whole entire WWE package. I don't know how he'd be wrestling Kazuchika Okada. I just don't. However, it doesn't matter, because he's in WWE. And I think he has the WWE charisma. He has a WWE style moveset. He's got the look that WWE wants. He's got a personality. He clearly is able to go out there and do media and just do what the company needs him to do. Like, what they need from top stars, and he can deliver on that. So the fact that he got that type of shine in this match is a good sign for his prospects as a singles act. And I agree with you guys. I think that they can like get him on a singles trajectory and get him on a singles path without having to like break up the Street Profits. Like, you don't have to do a breakup angle for every single tag team that's going to split up and go their separate ways. Like, what's wrong with just saying, hey, we're giving our tag team a break. We both want the best for each other. We both want our shot at a singles championships and a singles run. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, to me, that instantly makes you a strong, likable babyface, because that's the normal thing you do, right? That is like a normal response to that. If you're thinking about that in your head and you're thinking about relationship with a real friend, that's what you would say. You wouldn't like beat them up and never be their friend again. Like, 9 times out of 10, you'd be like, yep, I'm supportive of that. Like, I'm in. And I think they can pull that off. You're kind of like New Day. New Day, you had Kofi go off and do his own thing as a singles act and won gold. Same thing with Big E, although that was a little bit different because they had switched brands at that point. But, you had moments where they were off doing their own thing from a singles perspective, but they didn't have to break up. And I think you could do the same thing here with Street Profits. I like both of them. Dawkins and Ford are both so likable. Like I wouldn't buy either of them as a heel. I'm not saying that they couldn't pull it off, but to me, they're like watching their personalities and hearing their real personalities. Like babyface is where they need to be at this point. That lines up with their kind of aura, and I think you want to lean into that. Like seeing Angelo Dawkins as a heel, I think would be just weird and jarring. Whereas with Dominic, it's perfect, So there's a big difference there. But I agree. I thought really good match. I think the main event was better, but still really solid top to bottom. Let's talk about the other Elimination Chamber match, the Women's Elimination Chamber. This I thought was a little clunky at times, but it also served as a fine opener. They did like one thing off the top row, or off the top of the chamber. I'm glad they didn't overdo it, because you had the men doing what they were going to be doing in the later Elimination Chamber match, and so you don't want to see the same spots over and over and over and over and over again. So I thought this match was a victim of the spot that it had on the card in terms of opening the show. You just can't do as much, and it's almost like you don't want to build as much drama or as much momentum. Because you have a whole show coming behind you. You don't want to like tire out the crowd right away. So I liked the match. I thought Carmella was good in this match. I thought the way that she kind of set up the interaction with Asuka the minute Asuka came to get into her pod, I thought was good. And they set the hook early with that interaction and paid it off fully at the end of the match. So I thought that worked. And then of course, Asuka was the only way to go here. I think she was significantly more over than most, than everybody else in the match. So it made sense to go this way. And the whole match was built essentially around her. She's got the new act. She's got the new gimmick. And so I thought it just made a hell of a lot of sense to go with her at this time. When they flashed the graphic up on the screen, Asuka versus Bianca Belair at WrestleMania, I was like, yeah, okay, that's good. I don't know. I wasn't sure how I would feel about it once the match was made, but Asuka in this character with this gimmick is so much fun and is a fresh matchup. And Bianca Belair needs an opponent like her, I think, to push her over the edge. I think Rhea Ripley would have done this, like assumed the same position and could have gotten the same thing out of Bianca. But man, Asuka, it's a different level. Like this, I think the build to this is going to be intense. I think it's going to be super serious. Like I don't think we're going to get a lot of comedy Asuka, right? Like it's going to be serious to the point and about the championship, and that's what they need. And there was nobody else really in this match that could pull that off. I just don't think that was in the cards for right now. I mean, if Morgan was okay, Raquel Rodriguez was okay, but they're just not on the trajectory and don't have the momentum that Asuka does right now to take on Bianca Belair. So thumbs up on this one. I thought it was a good opener, and more matches in WWE, but even outside WWE, should learn from this match. These women could have done a lot more. Obviously, we know this. But you got to know your place. You got to know your place on the show. And this, I think, respected that. And it was the opener. It got things going. It got things moving. It brought excitement. It brought action, but it didn't overpower. And because you had so many important things happening after it, that's smart. So good on all 6 of those women for calling it the right way, planning out a match that made sense for that slot and making it very entertaining with that slot in mind. Thumbs up. And then last but not least, guys, we had I want to get to some chat here. This is the match that I think is looking like pretty solid at this point. Becky, Lita, and Trish versus Damage Control. Like, I don't know what else you do with Becky at this point in time. I don't think that they're going to go to Ronda, Steve, because it seems like Ronda's all in on as a tag team now with Shayna Baszler. So I mean, I don't know what that means for them either at WrestleMania. So it's weird. It's weird. Like I think we're on this journey to Becky Lynch getting on the WrestleMania card, a la John Cena. What is it? 5 years ago now at WrestleMania 34. That didn't hit all that great. So it's not something that I'm like, oh, they need to do that again, because it just it just didn't play out very well that time. We'll see. We'll see. This is what they would have to do, ahead of WrestleMania. And I think you could have Damage Control lose the titles because of interference and or help from Becky mainly, but also maybe Lita and maybe Trish Stratus too. And that sets up, the big 3-way or the big 6-woman tag at WrestleMania, and it gets the titles off of Damage Control, so Ronda and Shayna can work against 2 other women. Question is, who takes the titles off of them? There's not a great answer to that. I mean, I don't know. Could you call up somebody from NXT? Like, could you call up Kaden Carter and Katana Chance? You could, but that's kind of it's a little bit of a weak match. But any match is going to be a little weak for Ronda in the tag division. So I think this is what's going to happen, Milano. I don't know at this point who is going to win the tag titles off of Damage Control. We'll see. All right. Last but not least, and then we will wrap up here on this fine Sunday afternoon. Let's just give a quick conversation on Edge and Beth Phoenix against Rhea Ripley and Finn Balor. This was a blast of a match. They kind of botched the finish a little bit, so yeah, you got to kind of grade it down for that. But man, what a fun match. And it was fun, and it had the energy that it had because of want to pivot back. Great point, Steve. Toxic Attraction would have made sense here. But you got JC Jane and Gigi Dolan feuding now. So I'm not sure if that's in the cards anymore. We will see. We shall see. The mixed tag had the energy that it did because of Rhea Ripley and because of Beth Phoenix. Like, those 2 women brought it in a big, big, big way. I thought their interactions were fantastic. I thought Rhea Ripley, the way she sold for Edge and for Beth Phoenix was just tremendous. Like, she had those bumps where she would take the bump and then kind of sit up and have like the glazed over eyes. Just great stuff from Rhea Ripley. And together they really established why you should care about the match. Edge was great. Finn Balor was great. Dominic provided like a little extra foil on the outside of the ring, and which drove reaction. Like, this was fun. And yeah, Steve, the dual powerbomb was by the women was awesome. So just, this had its moments. This was like a fun wrestling match. Was it a 5-star classic? No. Was it a great Mac classic? No. But it was a fun 2023 style match, and that's okay. And it was a blast. So if you haven't seen this one, I would actually, I mean, obviously you go out of your way to see the men's Elimination Chamber. Really, the whole show, I think, is worth watching. But don't skip on this match. It was really good. It was really good. It was really fun. Whew. Boy, should we wrap it up there, guys? Anybody else with any comments, questions in the chat? If you do get them in, we will be back here tomorrow live on YouTube in the afternoon, and we will preview Monday Night Raw, which should be a big one, and I'm sure we'll discuss a little more Elimination Chamber fallout and some of the news that's coming out of it. But we will have your full Raw preview ready to go. So be here tomorrow, 4 Eastern, and you will. We'll get to talk a little bit of Raw and get to revisit Elimination Chamber. Jumping in backwards here to Steve's Edge Finn Hell in a Cell at Mania. It's good. It's a good guess. It's a good guess. There just doesn't seem to be much for Edge if it's not Finn. Yes, that would mean that the Judgment Day Edge storyline continues for 6 more weeks. I don't know if that makes you happy. I don't know if that makes you sad, but it'd be the reality if they go this route. It makes sense to me because there's just is nowhere else really for Edge to go, and you got to assume he's going to be on that card. So I agree, Steve. Anyway, tomorrow, right here on the PWTorch YouTube channel, 4 Eastern, we will be previewing Monday Night Raw. Join us then, please. And hopefully we'll have a blast like we always do. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do. It helps us out a ton. And hopefully you guys continue to like the content. We've got interviews up there. We've got flagship fireside chats all there for you to check out. We're coming up on a year of having the channel here, which is crazy to think about. But yeah, that's where we're at. So if you haven't subscribed already, please do. If you have subscribed, go ahead and click the notification button so you know the minute we go live every single day of the week. Okay, cool. Thank you so much for being with me. Sir Fark, hi and bye, unfortunately. Milano, thank you. Steve, thank you. Rin, thank you. Azan, thank you. Tracy, as always, appreciate you. Have a great rest of your weekend. And we'll catch you next time. See ya.